Insurance Services. There for all equestrians, amateur and the professional. For all types and all breeds. No matter what discipline or level, Taylor Harris is committed to excellence in serving you and protecting the horses you love. Taylor Harris Insurance Services, your worldwide equine insurance specialists.
I worry that the profession is dwindling at a rate that we won't be able to bounce back from in 5 to 10 years. It's become that severe. So whatever we can do to maintain the health and well-being of our veterinarians, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, we have to do that.
We're always looking for ways to enhance it. You know, what holds moisture better? What gives the horses a little bit more cushion? How can we provide the best ground possible for our athletes?
This is the Plaidcast. I'm Piper Klemm, publisher of the Plaid Horse magazine, and coming up today on episode 383, I talk with Dr. Shadi Ireifej, owner and co-founder of VetTriage, a 24/7 video telehealth platform that is hoping to change the way after-hours equine emergencies are handled. Then I speak with Jordan Wooten of Recycleballs Green Gold, a nonprofit company that is focused on saving the planet by recycling and reusing tennis balls. This episode is brought to you by Taylor Harris Insurance Services.
This is Tamara Macris, creative director and founder of Laura Chea, a collection of leather goods all made in Italy and designed with the equestrian in mind. We're proud to be a sponsor of the Plaid Horse Plaidcast. Laura Chea exists because I have 2 girls who ride, and I needed a better way to carry things at horse shows and even on barn days. I needed to not ruin my bags and lose all of my things, and that is why our convertible backpack tote in waterproof leather is a best seller. It has a place for everything, from hairnets and stock pins and a strap for a crop to a padded slip pocket on back for a laptop or iPad. Our 3 pillars are quality, function, and beauty, which is why our collection will stand up to your lifestyle and look good too. Visit our website, www.laurachea.com, to learn more about our brand or come see us in person at the Upperville Colt and Horse Show. Enjoy the rest of the Plaidcast.
Do you have a list of goals that you want to achieve with your horse? Are you taking time to build your mental skills in and out of the ring? There is so much information available at your fingertips with a subscription to the Plaid Horse magazine. You can find riding and training advice from top judges and trainers, grooming tips to keep your horse looking their best, and health information from top veterinarians and farriers to keep your horse feeling their best. All of this information and so much more can be found in one place, delivered straight to your door, with a print subscription to the Plaid Horse magazine. Subscribe at theplaidhorse.com/subscribe. That's theplaidhorse.com/subscribe. Show at America's largest equestrian competition venue in Ocala, Florida this summer. The World Equestrian Center Ocala 2024 Summer Series returns June 11th through August 11th, featuring 9 weeks of elite hunter-jumper competition, sanctioned by U.S. Equestrian, with 3 weeks of FEI competition June 11th to 30th, 2024. Visit WEC.net to plan your trip to the horse capital of the world. Dr. Shadi Ireifej DVM DACVS is a board-certified small animal surgeon who is currently the owner, co-founder, and chief medical officer of VetTriage, a 24/7 live video platform featuring doctors of veterinary medicine. He has operated numerous veterinary hospitals, managed multiple specialty departments, and has numerous medical journal publications. Dr. Ireifej aims to spearhead the movement with veterinary telehealth, increase access and spectrum of veterinary care on a global scale, and provide powerful means of relieving veterinarians from the current challenges and stresses plaguing the veterinary field today. Welcome to the Plaidcast, Shadi.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So people, it seems, in today's world have absolutely no boundaries about anything. How does that impact vets?
The veterinary industry is the definition of that exact comment. To some degree, at our own fault, we have allowed our work to spill into our personal space. And by giving clients, pet owners, veterinary access 24/7 by phone, email, text, whatever, social media, etc., it's taken on a whole new role where over time it's contributed considerably to the burning out, the compassion fatigue, the turnover, the suicide, all that we're facing in the veterinary field currently. It's been a huge problem. And it is to some degree the fault of pet owners, not respecting those boundaries, but we as veterinarians did let that happen. And so if you give folks that level of access, they're going to take advantage of it because they want what's best for their pets.
And we see this so extreme in so many horse businesses because people have so few owners and so much of their income is wrapped around a couple of these key clients. And then, you build things up in your head that you would lose it, or, you might be real on that, that might be very realistic, or you start catering to things that don't agree with your ethos.
Absolutely. If you're going to make that sort of deal, then realize you're relinquishing a lot of stuff that you can't even put money on. Your own personal quality of life, time spent with your family, with your kids, doing stuff that you love, sports, traveling, all that stuff being sacrificed because you're worried about losing clients for that financial gain and also to have their loyalty. It doesn't make any business sense. You're going to lose more, not just in terms of quality of life, but also long term through burnout, turnover, headhunting, hiring, training, onboarding, people quitting, all that stuff, because you're trying to hold on to a few valuable clients. Those clients ought to be tied to your practice, not necessarily to the individual veterinarian. And therefore, you should be able to, in good conscience, tell your clients, I'm no longer available these days, these times. Here are your other options. We trust those other options. Feel free to leverage them. Otherwise, I'm back in the office on this day, this time. And that's what we need to start doing.
Tell us about some of the really intense jobs you've had in your career. What did the hours look like? What did the timing look like? Really, what were the actual kind of consequences to yourself on working these hours and being part of the system, kind of as it has been for the last number of years?
I've been on call 24/7 since 2017, literally every single day. And that started off as a small animal board certified surgeon when I was managing 3 facilities in Silicon Valley, on call for all 3 for a straight year. So I would do multiple surgeries a night at different locations, then have to work the next day, see appointments, do more surgeries, etc. That 24/7 continued when I left Silicon Valley and worked at a hospital in Los Angeles where I was part owner. We converted that hospital from an overnight facility to 24/7 ER multi-specialty. I was chief of specialty, so I ran the specialty departments there. And again, because I was the only surgeon on for the good majority of that year and a half, I was on call 24/7 as well. And then when I launched VetTriage at the end of 2019, we were right from the gates, any animal type, 24/7 global, and you have to raise income in order to afford your first veterinarian. I was the only veterinarian on for a very long time to allow the business to grow. So I was on call 24/7. And there'd be plenty of nights where I didn't sleep. I was doing calls all night long for concerned pet owners on a global scale. And then the next day I had to attend my appointment, my meetings rather, interviews, radio shows, podcasts, TV, whatever was required of me, despite having no sleep the night before. So to answer your question, the most difficult part of my career, it's been all those times that you're on 24/7 where you don't really know when you can just let loose, cut ties, stop working, like you're literally off. I have yet to experience that since 2017 by my own choice, of course, but your question regarding what did you sacrifice for that? Yeah, it's personal quality of life. And it's tough to make time for friends, romantic relationships, traveling, exploring new hobbies, learning a new language. So those are things you sacrifice when you put that kind of dedication to something like this.
And that's not a rational expectation we can make of every vet. That's not the path forward for the industry.
Absolutely. I chose that mode of career because I had been in my surgery role and now in VetTriage, starting something from the ground up. And when you do that, you are committing yourself to that level of work ethic. However, the vast majority of folks are looking to, for lack of a better phrase, clock in and clock out, as you should. Work is work, personal should be personal. So I definitely do not advocate what I've been doing for the populace out there, but it is the path that I chose in trying to establish my career goals.
Talk to us a little bit about the veterinary shortage. We've heard a little bit about it, but I think the people it's hit home to, it's already really hit home. I recently moved from a much more isolated area of the country, and people would ask me all the time, why don't you have your horse there? And I was like, it's a lack of infrastructure. And once it starts tumbling in that direction, I mean, it kind of gets a snowball effect. And then as you said, the vets are more stressed out and things are more scattered, and it just gets harder. Once it starts getting hard, it just gets harder and harder.
Yes. So the challenges that we're facing are similar both in the non-equine side and equine side. They're different, but there's a lot of commonality. On the small animal side, what's happening is we have the largest number of vet schools in our veterinary history. We have the largest number of vet school class size in our history, and we have the largest number of veterinary applicants, and we're pumping out the largest number of veterinarians every year, and every year that number goes up. And despite all those numbers being in a positive realm, we have a veterinary shortage. And so on the small animal side, I call that a relative shortage, not absolute, meaning there are vets out there, a ton of them, a surplus even. However, for some reason, they're not taking jobs. And my theory on that is that the culture is so bad, not conducive to a good work-life balance, that these new graduates get their first job, find out that they're on call, they're working 24/7, they've got no mentorship, no collegial support, etc., and they quit. And they quit and not find another veterinary job. They quit the career just by having a huge amount of debt and committing many years to higher education. That's happening in part on the small animal side. On the equine side, it's way more stark, because not only do you have a very low percentage of veterinarians per vet class committing themselves to equine, but when they graduate, they are even more so expected to be on call 24/7, because most areas don't have access to 24/7 equine emergency hospitals. So you're going to be on call, not only on call, but you're going to be driving. And some of these vets are driving at an excess of 60 miles one way to get to an equine emergency in the middle of the night with no support staff, and maybe not even getting paid for it. And then, because of this snowballing over decades on the equine side, you're seeing more and more equine vets retiring early. So the percentage by which equine veterinarians are retiring, leaving the profession, is way more than the number of equine vets replacing them. So they truly have not just a relative shortage, they have an absolute shortage. And that work-life balance is one part of many reasons why this is happening, but the biggest problem by far on both sides is work-life imbalance.
And also those calls in the middle of the night. I've talked to so many female vets who have been extremely uncomfortable showing up somewhere in the middle of the night by themselves. So there are added layers to that safety and emotional component.
Yeah, some of these facilities, they don't supply the on-call veterinarian with support. And then the ones that do, sometimes they only use them sort of as needed. But you have to have an infrastructure in place that will allow a support staff member to be on call with you. And it's a good point. It's for the veterinarian safety. It's also, you're driving in inclement weather. You're tired in the middle of the night. You don't know how that horse is going to act. You don't know the property situation where that horse lives. You don't know these equine owners. All that stuff is an unknown. And especially for female veterinarians, it's a danger. And so you want to have support staff there. Most facilities don't utilize support. If they do have access to it, they only sort of leverage them as needed.
All right. So all of this to say is you're here because we have a solution, or, a way to alleviate this and work on this. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with VetTriage and how it can really make an impact on actual veterinarians' lives?
Absolutely. So in 2007, 2008, during my surgical internship at Long Island Veterinary Specialist, I had noticed a trend with the front desk staff, the receptionists, who take 100 calls every day about people inquiring about whether or not they should come in with their pet. I'm seeing X, Y, and Z with my dog, with my cat. Should I be concerned? Should I come in? And the answer always was, if you're concerned, come in. And the reason why we gave that answer in veterinary hospitals was because the receptionists who are answering these phone calls are not medically trained. The people who are medically trained, the veterinary technicians and the doctors, they can't get on every single phone call. They're busy saving lives on the floor. So you end up with an excess of people showing up to the emergency hospital who don't actually have true emergencies. And as you can imagine, that will end up plugging up the system for those animals who are coming in who truly have emergencies. So I noticed this trend, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a business model where veterinarians answered those phone calls instead? And keep in mind, in 2007, 2008, video capabilities were not as prominent as they are today. Not everybody had video cameras, and Skype was, I think, the biggest platform around, and that wasn't that great of a platform. So I was thinking phone triage with doctors. Well, that evolved over time as technology improved, and I started VetTriage, finally launched it in 2019. This has been 12 plus years of work put into it. Launched VetTriage, which is a 24/7 video teletriage platform, English and Spanish speaking doctors live on video, global, any animal type. And for equine pet owners, we have an equine platform specifically for them. And so they know they'll be speaking to an equine doctor on that platform. The way this platform helps our clinics, our colleagues on the ground, is through partnership, which is free and has no contracts or agreement. Through that partnership, we would basically provide or replace your cell phone. We replace your answering service. So now when you're on call, instead of having those phone calls come directly to your cell phone as a doctor after hours in the middle of the night, or going through an answering service, which is basically a glorified receptionist desk, and they're just going to funnel the call to you anyway. Instead, you replace that with VetTriage, where you know your clients will speak to equine practitioners live on video. It takes less than 2 minutes to create the account and pay, and they're on live with a doctor. And then the benefit of the practice thereafter is we find that over 80% of these calls are not actual emergencies. So those phone calls that the veterinarian was getting in the middle of the night prior, that were the majority of which were not emergencies, now those calls won't even happen. We will call the on-call doctor if we see one of their clients and their client has a true medical emergency, and we also know how far the client is, and they're approving any of the required fees for that on-call facility. Then we wake up the doctor and tell them about this colic or this really bad wound in the middle of the night, and set up the meeting between the doctor and the horse. So it'll cut down calls by 80% plus, giving those veterinarians rest. But they also do know if we truly do see an emergency, they will be called and we'll make that connection happen after hours. When you do that, you end up lowering substantially burnout rates, compassion fatigue. It helps entice new graduates to work for your facility because you have to be on call, right? You're equine and you're in this area that requires it. You can tell this new graduate, this new veterinarian you're trying to hire, good news, you'll be on call, but it's with VetTriage. And so your calls are substantially less than what it used to be. All that is done with the client paying VetTriage directly. They pay $75 to be on video for as much time as they want. It's $50 for non-equine, $75 for equine, and we have free follow-up for the clients as well. So if we see a fairly mild colic on a Friday night, we give them advice. It's not an emergency, but then Saturday the colic has progressed. We don't want that client paying for us again. We want to be able to re-triage that case without charging the client, and then we can change the medical plan from there. So we want to make sure that your clients are supported through the whole process, basically until your vet is open again the following day or the following week. Otherwise, quality of life will be had, I assure you, through partnerships, because we will take over your on-call, and you'll get resounding feedback from your clients that are going to be just overwhelmingly positive. Our vets are phenomenal, and we will be seen as an extension of your facility and your operations.
And for so many clients who do have the personal relationship with their vet and don't want to bug them, this lets them know that they can get the answers they want, or the assurance or the comfort, or have a vet actually looking into something, and without having to get their vet out of bed if it's not an emergency.
Those equine owners that truly respect the veterinarian that's been taking care of their horses for decades, for years and decades, will appreciate the reason why your facility is partnering with VetTriage. The idea, the fear of losing clients or having upset clients because of a service like this, where they no longer have access to you 24/7 for free for any and all concerns, it has to be understood. We have to just accept that that's the way it is, because currently, or at least as of current, before VetTriage, your other options for after hours weren't great. And it certainly was not contributing to a positive quality of life for the veterinary staff. So we have to change the culture in the field to be more vet friendly. Your clients, the ones who really matter, who appreciate and respect you, will understand that transition to VetTriage. The ones who are going to gripe about it will gripe no matter what you do, because of course they want 24/7 advice for free from veterinarians, and that's no longer realistic.
And on on that note, like how can people be better vet clients? How can, someone listening say, I want to respect my vet. I want to be part of this movement. I'm going to ask my vet about VetTriage because that sounds like a great move for them. What else can they do to be better customers, clients, horse owners?
That is a fantastic question and a unique one. I do lots of interviews, and no one's ever asked me that before from the client's perspective. What can they do to help out? That's phenomenal. So spreading the word is probably number one. Saying to your equine vet and to your friends and family who own horses, I found this platform. Would you guys consider partnering with them? I trust your facility. I've been with your equine practice for 23 years. I think this would be a great way to complement what you guys are already doing. And then spread the word to horse owners who don't have access to care, especially, and say, hey guys, there's an alternative other than using Dr. Google or searching out in social media platforms for medical answers. VetTriage for a low cost gets you a live vet within 2 minutes. And spreading the word is probably the biggest thing you can do. The second thing you can do for those, especially who are quite prominent on social media platforms, have their own podcasts, whatever it may be, they can talk about it. Feel free, talk about VetTriage, and to practice is to partner with us. So those are two ways that I can see equine owners being part of this movement. The third thing I would say is you have to recognize that veterinarians have been giving literally with blood, sweat, and tears access to you guys 24/7. And there is no other profession in this world, in the history of humanity, that would ever provide a service like that for free. And these are doctors. Try to get anything free out of your attorney or your accountant. Not going to happen. And so we need to appreciate as equine owners that we've been very lucky, very fortunate for a long period of time, but it's been stifling. And it's time for a change. And this is a phenomenal union for that change, where you still can access a veterinarian conveniently from your location 24/7 live on video for an affordable price. I think that the cultural shift that we require for this, whether it be with VetTriage or not, is mandatory. I worry, for those who are listening to this, I worry that the profession is dwindling at a rate that we won't be able to bounce back from in 5 to 10 years. It's become that severe. So whatever we can do to maintain the health and well-being of our veterinarians, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, we have to do that, because veterinarians are incredible people. And my unbiased opinion is that they are ethical, moral human beings that want best for animals, and they're not even thinking about the business side of stuff. We need to change the culture where veterinarians start to love themselves, support each other more, and try to figure out novel ways like VetTriage to help change the course of the profession that we all love.
Well, and we're seeing how much telemedicine, telehealth is changing our lives. And, I recently had something that would not have been useful to go sit in the ER for 8 hours for. And it was very easy online. And I think that this is a quality of life thing for us. And it's a quality of life thing for our horses where we can also.
Absolutely. And that experience that you had, a lot of folks can relate to. In the height of the pandemic, we were seeing some states in the US with wait times of 72 hours for emergency, because 72 hours were still faster than waiting for weeks for your regular vet to see you. And other emergency hospitals were maybe too far away or had similar wait times. So it got pretty bad. Pets were dying in their cars. Clients had to just watch their pets suffer until the next day when their vet was open again. It was dismal. And we're still seeing that. It's gotten better because VetTriage, we have thousands of partners now across the world who utilize our platform. So we're seeing those numbers come down. So it's nice to see that our hard work is actually having real life effects on the ground for our colleagues and our pet owners. But yeah, unfortunately, what you're describing, it was all too common, and we're working really hard to improve that.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. Thank you.
Elevate your barn experience with American Stalls. Since 2005, American Stalls has been the leader in exceptional horse stall equipment. From private estates to Olympic-level training facilities to boarding facilities, American Stalls understands the nuances of equine care. Designed by horse people for horse people, their stabling solutions guarantee safety, elegance, and longevity. Proudly made in the USA, each component is custom built for you and your horse's comfort. Start your design journey at americanstalls.com. American Stalls, where your horse's well-being is the heart of their craft. At Purina Animal Nutrition, we're focused on helping horses live their best life. For wholesome nutrition that performs, try Purina Omaline Horse Feed. Formulated with Outlast Gastric Support Supplement to support gastric health and proper pH, it keeps your horse performing with confidence. Put our research to the test. Stop by your local Purina retailer or visit purinamills.com to learn more. purinamills.com.
Looking to insure your horse? Whether you own a champion jumper or gentle trail companion, Great American Insurance Group has you and your four-legged friends covered. From full mortality policies to major medical coverages and more, Great American Insurance Group is one of the world's leading providers of equine mortality insurance for a reason. To find out more, go to gaig.com and search Equine Mortality. Great American Insurance Group. 301 East 4th Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. Policies are underwritten by Great American Insurance Company, Great American Assurance Company, and Great American Security Insurance Company. Authorized insurers in all 50 states and the D.C. Great American Insurance Group is a registered service mark of Great American Insurance Company.
Jordan Wooten is a sales consultant for Recycleballs Green Gold Equine Footing, a nonprofit company that is focused on saving the planet by recycling and reusing tennis balls. To date, Recycleballs has saved around 12 million tennis balls from ending up in landfills where they do not disintegrate. Jordan is also a barrel racer, professionally rodeos, and she owns her own horse training and equine therapy program. You can read more about Recycleballs Green Gold in the December-January issue of the Plaid Horse magazine or search on theplaidhorse.com for Recycleballs. Welcome to the Plaidcast, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
I was really interested seeing your business, Recycleballs, which reuses recycled tennis balls to make riding arenas. And of course, I was super curious and I want to get into that. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the horse community and how you started riding?
Yes, I've been riding probably before I could walk. I grew up in a horse-oriented family. My mother showed competitive barrel horses her entire life. So basically, when I was born, it was kind of just in my blood. That's kind of what I was supposed to do, I guess, as I grew up. So I was pretty much on horses from the time I can remember. I started barrel racing early. I was probably on a pony by myself, probably at about 2.5 or 3 years old. And it just kind of grew from there. I started competitively showing and kind of worked my way up horse after horse, kind of just moving up the ladder, getting more horses that were a little bit more competitive. So I showed International Barrel Horse Association, National Barrel Horse Association. I've done it my entire life. We've always had anywhere from 10 to 20 horses at a time, probably in our barn. I have been all over the country with them. As I got older, I kind of jumped into the training aspect of it. And then I would say about 2 years ago, I jumped into the professional rodeo world and started barrel racing for professional rodeo. And then a couple years ago, I opened my own business and started an equine therapy business to rehab horses that have been injured, whether that be in the competitive world or maybe they were just injured if they're just like a hobby horse or so on. So I've kind of always been acclimated with the horses and have always been a little bit more on the competitive side, I guess, than anything. But they've pretty much been my life since I can remember. So...
And tell us a little bit about barrel horses and like some of the injuries you end up seeing a lot and kind of what's being expected of the horse. I know that kind of all of our facets of the equestrian industry have so much in common and it's all about horse training and trying to do better, but we all kind of, given the different muscles and places we're putting pressure, like we all have kind of our own injuries and our own facets that we tend to see more of.
Yes, with the barrel horses, you see a lot of tendon and ligament issues, whether it be suspensories, digital deep flexors, sesamoid, different things like that. Those are a lot of the injuries that you're probably seeing in the barrel horse world. Honestly, my good rodeo horse actually had a tear in her impar 1 ligament last July. So she's been rehabbing for about 9 months now. It's about a 9 to 12 month recovery. Basically, she just took a bad step in an arena, and that's basically what made the tear in the impar 1 ligament. But she's had to go through some extensive rehab to get to the point where we are now. But most of the time in the barrel horse world, you're looking at those tendon ligament issues more than you are anything else.
And then I know that for us, footing is anyone who doesn't win at the horse show comes home and blames the footing, rightly or wrongly. What are the types of things that barrel racers are looking for in footing in general? And, is that something we kind of have in common, that footing is such a big issue?
I would definitely say it's pretty much just like anything else in the horse world. Like you said, if you're not winning at a show, that's one of the main things that you're probably going to come home and be like, did the footing have an issue of why, my run looked like this? Is this how, what it went like? But for the most part, basically, we're looking for the same thing that any horse person is looking for. We are very concerned with how safe it is for our equine athletes. Barrel horses, you're asking them to run at a high speed and set and turn a 90-degree angle, basically. So they're moving at a pretty high, fast-paced movement, and then are able to have to put their feet in the ground. So basically what we're looking for is we would prefer the ground be a little bit deeper for us, just because those horses are working so hard. So we really want it to be not really hard, not super powdery. It needs to have some moisture just because you want it to hold together. Typically what we have in our barrel horse world is more of like your sand dirt mixture of arena footing. We don't have a lot of just strictly sand arenas for that purpose. It just doesn't seem to hold the way we need it to for the barrel horses, but it's pretty much just like any other equine profession. I mean, we want it to be safe for the equine athletes. We want it to be safe for the riders, and we want it to be fast. Basically, the more moisture that's on the ground and that it's packed tighter, it'll make your ground a little bit faster than it will slower. So that's kind of what a lot of people in the barrel horse world are looking for. But we're always looking for ways to enhance it. What holds moisture better? What gives the horses a little bit more cushion? How can we provide the best ground possible for our athletes?
And so everyone's always looking for the next thing we can do, which makes a lot of sense in so many levels. We all want to recycle. We all want to do better. None of us want to create more waste than we have to. And unfortunately, owning horses with all the different facets and pieces, a lot of us end up creating a lot of waste with our traveling and all that stuff. Talk to us a little bit about Recycleballs and how it was formed. Over the years, people have tried to do many things with footing with recycled products, and I would say almost none of them have ended up actually being the answer in our market.
Recycleballs is actually a nonprofit that got started in the sense that our founder noticed how many tennis balls were ending up in the landfill. And basically was like, hey, we're going to start up a company that, saves these amount of tennis balls from going to the landfill. We're going to, make the planet a little bit greener and do more recycling. So that's kind of how it got started. Recycleballs is a multi-aspect recycling program. So yes, we're talking about the horse arena footing, but we do a couple different things at Recycleballs. Basically, we take the tennis balls and recycle them, and there's a series of what they go through. Some of them may go back into the process of making tennis courts. Some of them may be used for second throw for dog balls. Some of them may be used for chair balls that you're seeing in classrooms or offices. And then lastly, basically what they do is if they're not able to be recycled into one of those products, is they are grinded down into the horse arena footing. And it is just an additive. So basically you're adding this footing to your footing that you already have in your arena, whether it be sand, whether it be a dirt sand mixture, whether it be stone dust. We see a lot of different bases of what we're working with. So basically you're just adding that to give you the benefits of you're looking for, whether that be moisture retention, whether that be a little bit more cushion for your horses, whether you need it to kind of be a little bit more wound together so it's a little tighter so your sand's not loose, and kind of waking away. A lot of my hunter jumpers really like the fact that the fibers hold the footing together so it's not so loose when they're jumping. So like I said, Recycleballs is a multi-aspect recycling company, but this is kind of where my forte is, just because I've been in the horse world as long as I have.
So I've never really thought about the problem of having old tennis balls before. So tennis players just literally hit them so hard that they become useless really quickly, or they just go through so many in practice, or it's just like a repetition thing that there's so many used tennis balls.
Yes, there's just a wide use of tennis balls just because the sport is so large, and it's really large in certain areas of the country. So you're seeing a lot of those where basically the tennis balls just get used until a point whether maybe they don't want to use them anymore, or they're getting worn, or they're getting old, they're getting deflated. Some of the fibers are coming off of them. It can be a series of different things of why the tennis balls are basically being non-used and being kind of just thrown out. So basically we were wanting to take that and be able to recycle them. They were just kind of being thrown away. It's really kind of what the sport does with them. But like I said, we try to take as many as we can and turn them into something else. So whether that be, they go into dog ball, we take them back into the tennis courts, or we use them for arena footing. It's basically to enable that, we're not just throwing so many of them away, because they're not going to basically just disintegrate into the ground. So we need to recycle as many as possible.
And tell us what the process of installing Recycleballs Green Gold footing into your arena looks like. You said it can be mixed with a lot of other footings. How does that kind of work?
Basically what they're doing is they'll contact me directly. We'll figure out, square footage of their arena. We'll figure out what riding they do, how much footing they have, so that I can kind of figure out a better amount that they will need to be exact, that you're going to get the most benefits from. And then once they do that, we put them in giant super sacks. So you're getting about 1,000 pounds of product in a super sack that gets shipped to you or can be picked up at our warehouse. Once it gets to them, there's a multi ways of spreading it into the footing that they already have, whether that be basically if you have a tractor front end loader or some type of piece of equipment. Basically, you're picking those bags up, you're cutting the bottom of them, and you're kind of driving around your arena, putting it on as even as possible. I have some people that just prefer to dump them into their arena and then rake them out as evenly. I think it really depends on what equipment you have access to, what you're willing to do, and what you want your arena to look like overall. But there's a lot of different ways to do it. Once you get it down on the arena and mixed in, there's a multi ways if you can get it into the ground. I have a lot of customers that prefer to put it down and just ride on it for, a week or so or a little longer, get it kind of mashed into the ground a little bit, and then work it with their arena drag. Personally, when I put it down, I actually opened my arena up, laid it down, and then drug it all back in again. But like I said, I have a lot of horses on mine from a day-to-day basis, so I wanted to work it in the ground as quickly as possible. So it really comes down to the client, the customer, what they're wanting their arena to look like, how fast they're wanting it to integrate into the footing that they have, and the benefits that they're looking for.
And then you mentioned dragging. Is there like a special drag that you need, or what kinds of things? How do you maintain Recycleballs mixed in with other types of footing?
There is not a specific drag that you need. I will say that there are some, I'm sure, that are more effective than others. I have customers that use anywhere from your typical just chain drag to maybe your farm and supply drag. I have some that have the TR3s, Black Widows, 4-in-1 specifically. That's kind of what I'm looking at as a 4-in-1. In the burr horse world, we see a lot of 4-in-1s, TR3s, and Black Widows. I had no issue installing the product, but I have a lot of customers that just don't have access to those type of drags, and they have not shared that there has ever been an issue with the dragging of it at all and keeping it basically the way that they're wanting their arena to look. Watering wise, it's going to cut down a lot on the amount of water that you have to put into your arena. That's something that I was specifically looking for, just because I have a mass amount of horses on mine. My indoor is a lot more sand than it is anything else. My outdoor is kind of a mixture of dirt and sand, and I was having massive issues with just watering. We couldn't seem to keep the dust down. We couldn't seem to keep the ground as tight as what we needed it for these horses that were rehabbing. And I was like, okay, this is just getting, absolutely insane. What can I do to make this better? So I actually incorporated the green gold footing into that, and it drastically cut down the amount that I had to water, because it's such a great product for moisture retention. The fibers that are on the outsides of the tennis balls do a wonderful job of holding that moisture. And then with the crumb rubber, you're getting all that extra cushion that you were looking for. And the fibers kind of wind together throughout the ground. So it's helping it keep it a little bit more tighter for those horses that are working extensively in that on more of your competitive side of things. So basically, you're getting a lot of benefit with us having the rubber and the fiber in our product, where some products only have fiber or only have the rubber. You're getting kind of like the best of both worlds with ours. But basically, it cuts down on dust. You have moisture retention. If you do have an outdoor arena, I get this question a lot, is if it's good for outdoors. Yes, it is. It's actually wonderful. I had a lot of issues. I currently live in Ohio. On a day-to-day basis, the weather changes. We can have a lot of rain. I was having a lot of issues with the water kind of laying in my arena, even though we have very good drainage. And actually the fibers, once they're woven into the footing and kind of get down into the ground where we want them, kind of pull that water from one place to another, so you don't have giant puddles of water laying in different places in your outdoor arenas.
So it's kind of twofold on the environmental if it needs less water, and also, you're using the recycled tennis balls.
Yes, exactly.
How long does this footing last? I know that when you look at arena and investment, everyone is looking for how long their arena can last. You said you run a lot of horses on it, high impact. You're really using this and getting the wear and tear on it.
Yes, exactly. We see arenas. I have some that have had it as long as 3, almost 4 years now. Typically, we're going to say right at this moment, you're probably going to get anywhere, I would say, from 2 to 4 years use before you're going to have to basically go in and have like a big refresher. Like I said, I have mass amounts of horses on mine on a day-to-day basis. I have not even had to add any refreshing to mine yet. It's been in there for, I would say, probably almost a year at this point, and have not had to do anything with it other than just we work our ground pretty consistently a couple times a week, just because, like I said, we have horses rehabbing in the indoor. We have horses that are working outside. I have young horses that are starting their careers outside. So we work our footing pretty regularly. But other than keeping your ground well groomed, there's not a lot that you have to do with it. It's just like any other type of footing. Just what do you want your footing to look like? What are your equine athletes needing from your footing is what I tell people. It's all in what you're looking for, what you're wanting, and how your horses work is kind of how you're going to keep it well maintained. But I would say you're probably going to get anywhere from 2 at the lowest, 4 maybe at the max. I would say possibly, depending on how many horses you have on it, how much it's getting worked, how well you take care of it. You could even see it last longer than the 4 years before you need like a refresher.
And where can people learn more about Recycleballs or get questions answered that they have?
They can actually contact me directly. My number and my email is on our website. They can go to our website, recycleballs.org. You can scroll down and kind of see a lot of what we do, why we started this venture. There are different tabs on our website. Basically, specifically, one is the Recycleballs Green Gold, and you can go straight to it and schedule a free consultation or get a quote. We've recently updated our website, and it is absolutely phenomenal. It kind of allows you to do everything from there. I tell people it's also wonderful, though, to schedule the free consultation, just because I can give a little bit more insight on specifically what you're needing, what you're not needing, if it's going to work really well with the footing that you have, if we feel like maybe you should add a little bit more sand, or depending on what base you have. It's always great to schedule that free consultation, just because we can kind of provide a little bit more of what you're needing and what you're looking for, basically, than just kind of going to the website and scrolling through. I think it's great to kind of talk with somebody one-on-one so that we can know exactly what benefits you're looking for, what issues you may be having, and that way we can kind of get a little bit better of idea of how to help you. We also have a Facebook, which it is Recycleballs Green Gold, that you can visit. We're on social media. We are actually starting a TikTok page that will be up and running here in no time. So basically, people can keep up with what arenas are looking like, what's going on in our warehouse, and different things like that.
Jordan Wooten, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
HITS LLC is a leading producer of hunter jumper, horse shows, and dressage competitions in the United States. From Del Mar, California to Ocala, Florida to Saugerties, New York, HITS hosts top-tier competition across the nation with horse and rider happiness in mind. Since its inception in 1982, HITS LLC has grown into the market-leading lifestyle management company with premier events including CSI 3-star and CSI 4-star show jumping, World Championship Hunter Rider Competition, U.S. Dressage Festival Champions, and much more. Visit hitshows.com to plan your HITS experience. America Cryo is making waves in the field of rehab and prehab therapeutic devices. The company prides itself on offering a wide range of systems to treat lameness and injury without invasive surgery or medication. All natural treatments ranging from cold compression devices to sound and light wave devices, which include brand new combination PEMF laser therapy device that is set to be a game changer in the industry. Used by veterinarians, professional riders, stable owners, and everyday horse owners, these products are the most advanced and effective devices for treating the hardworking equine athlete. Check out their full range of therapeutic devices at www.americacryo.com.
The newest show strides is here. In Book 5, Packer Pressure, it's time for new beginnings at Quince Oaks. Tally gets noticed for her hard work and catch riding, landing her a free lease on a packer named Cameron. Elsewhere in the barn, Tally's best friend Mac is surprised by the transition from Joey to a new partner for the large pony hunters. And Maggie's parents buy her a horse of her own. But once Tally and Maggie get into the show ring, they find unexpected struggles. Tally has to deal with the stress of competing on the perfect packer, while Maggie's move to a more sensitive, tricky horse makes her question her ability and her place within the barn. Show Strides Book 5, Packer Pressure, is available to order at theplaidhorse.com/books.
To learn more about anything we've discussed on today's show, visit theplaidhorse.com. You can find show notes at theplaidhorse.com/listen. Follow The Plaid Horse on all the social medias. You can subscribe to the print edition of The Plaid Horse magazine at theplaidhorse.com/subscribe. Please rate and review the Plaidcast anywhere you listen to it. And if you enjoy this episode, please share it with your friends. I will see you at the ring. The Plaidcast is proudly sponsored by Bone Care. Visit bonecareusa.com for more information. That's BONEKAREUSA.com. Bone Care is a bone health and soft tissue vitamin supplement for horses of every age, especially those whose daily diet lacks fresh, quality green pastures, horses with neck, shoulder, and back issues, horses with pre-existing or at risk of bone disorders and injuries, broodmares and foal, post-surgical and healing horses, and developing and aging equines, and horses with competition lifestyles. Horses removed from a vitamin K1-rich green pasture and brought into a stall regimen have demonstrated a reduction in bone density within just 7 to 10 days. Low vitamin K1 may result in bruising within the foot, bone bruising, arthritic changes, osteochondrosis, OCD, and cartilage problems in yearlings, and can slow healing in all competition horses. Visit bonecareusa.com for more information.